Alright guys, it is official. I have completed my very first marathon. I even have this little certificate here as proof. Anyway, in all seriousness, about a week has passed at the time of filming this since I ran the marathon. It still feels pretty insane, pretty uplifting. I mean, running a marathon is something that back in high school, college, even as recent as a year ago, I would have considered impossible. So proving to myself that it was possible feels really uplifting, honestly. Like I could take on the whole world. Okay, that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but it does feel pretty good, honestly. So the day before the race was pretty chill, as I think you want your pre-race day to usually be. I just spent some time stretching. I went to the park to get my marathon bib. I made sure I was drinking plenty of water throughout the day and eating carbs to have energy for the next day. And I went to bed early, about 10 p.m. on a Saturday, which is usually a lot earlier than I go to bed on a Saturday. But anyway, it was overall a pretty chill day. And the next morning, woke up, obviously drank some water to hydrate, ate a nice breakfast, some oatmeal, protein powder, blueberries, strawberries, the normal, plus some toast and banana to make sure I was focusing on carbs and protein to have energy for the race. And then the actual race started at 10 a.m. and the first 20 kilometers went pretty smoothly, as they usually do, I think. The only slight hiccup was that I had to go to the bathroom at about the 15 kilometer mark, and I probably should have held it for a little bit longer, because the bathroom I stopped at, there were just a lot of people, so I ended up having to wait for about 5 minutes, which ended up hurting my final time. But overall, nothing too major happened in the first half. Oh, I did kind of get a bit humbled, though. Obviously, I knew I wasn't going to be like super fast since it was my first marathon. But just for reference, the racetrack is basically one big loop. You go from Matsuyama, run along the highway up to Hojo, which is a small town north of Matsuyama, and then you come back on the other side of the highway. Well, me and the other mortals, we're still going back, or we're not still going back, we're going up to Hojo, and this demigod of a runner just comes back the other way. And I'm about the 13 kilometer mark. This guy's probably about the 30 kilometer mark. So it's just absolutely insane that I'm still going up and this guy is coming back basically at like a full sprint. It's, I mean, crazy. Mad respect to that guy. And yeah, that was the guy who ended up winning with a final time of like 2 hours, 18 minutes, 35 seconds, something like that. Something crazy. But about 25 kilometers, I started to feel a little tired, but was able to keep pushing. About 30 kilometers is where I finally hit a wall. I had to take a small break to walk, and then once I started jogging again, this random Japanese guy actually came over and started talking to me. He was an older gentleman, very friendly, and it was actually really helpful because he'd run in marathons before, he'd done triathlons before, so it was kind of hyping me up, and also just having someone to talk to since I was running by myself helped take my mind off how much my legs were hurting at the time. And he kept telling me, once we get over the hill the second time, because there's a really big hill between Matsuyama and Hojo, once we get over that hill, there's only like 6 kilometers left, and the rest is pretty easy. You'll probably be physically tired, but mentally you'll be pretty sharp. You'll know you can finish this out and push yourself. And honestly, he was right. That 30 to 35 mark where the hill was pretty tough, and then once I got over that hill, the last part felt pretty smooth, and I crossed the finish line with a final time of 5 hours and 12 minutes. it technically took 5 hours and 20 minutes from the start gun, but my block left a little late, so my net time was 5 hours and 12 minutes. And so the marathon was on Sunday, and by the next Tuesday, 2 days after, I basically actually 80% recovered. I still had some tightness and a little bit of pain in my right knee, but overall was feeling pretty good. Went back to the gym on Wednesday, just did a little push day, but didn't actually hit legs again until Friday. So I'm looking forward to just getting back into the gym and trying to put on muscle over the next couple of months. There are a few things I wish I'd done differently while I was training for the marathon, and the first thing I should have done differently was buy a pair of running shoes that fit my feet well much sooner. So I started training for the marathon with this pair of Nike Pegasus, and I'm no expert on running shoes, but I think Nike Pegasus is actually a brand or a running shoe that's pretty well respected. But that said, I have really wide feet, so maybe buying Nikes was just like mistake 0.5.
Bruh.
These shoes just always left me with blisters and left my feet hurting, especially once I got into longer runs, upwards of over 10 miles. My feet just never felt good after a run. And then once I switched over to these Hoka Cliftons, my blisters went away, my feet started feeling better after each run. And yeah, overall, these shoes just fit my feet a lot better, so lesson learned. The next thing I wish I'd done differently is check my running form. So I'm not really sure how good my running form actually is. So there's probably a few ways I could streamline it, make it smoother so I can run for longer and consume less energy. So if I do run in another marathon, that will be something I look into for sure. And the next thing I wish I'd done differently is that really big hill. So we had to go over it twice since it's one big loop. The race is one big loop. The first time I definitely went up too hard probably. And if I hadn't gone up so hard, maybe I could have pushed to 32, 33 kilometers before I hit a wall, which would have helped my final time. And the next thing actually involves weightlifting, but there was a time where for my legs, I was only doing accessory exercises, so leg curls and leg extensions. And during that time, my knees really started hurting. And this had actually happened before at the start of the pandemic, the old pandemic when gyms shut down and I couldn't squat or deadlift or anything. I had knee pain then too. So I don't know if not squatting or deadlifting is related to my knee pain, but next time I'll probably just reduce the volume, reduce the weight, and keep squatting and deadlifting to see if that keeps my knees from hurting. Who knows? It could be completely unrelated, but it's happened twice, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on next time and see what happens. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Justin Japan. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace!